and gentlemen, let's go.
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Well, actually, I live in Delaware now, so does that make me a Delawarean?
Singing girl.
You know, Beyonce is my friend in my head. Jay my people sometimes, too.
Yeah. I mean, like, be true, man.
You know, when I was a kid, I had an imaginary enemy. Like, does that make me crazy?
Life as P, presented by Say What Radio.
Hey guys, welcome back to Life is P. I'm your host, Phoenix Sash. If this is your first time joining, thank you. I appreciate you giving the show a shot. If this is your second, third, you're just a recurring listener, I so appreciate you. This is my sounding board. We all need a sounding board, right? Like the things that are on our mind, and hopefully the things that I'm sharing are things that you can relate to, you can learn from, you can use. I also appreciate the things that you guys share with me. Some people enlighten me with things that I don't know, or just share personal funny stories, or just have regular conversation with me via Twitter or Instagram. I'm at P Writes on Twitter, at P Writes on Instagram. I cherish our conversations. There have been a lot of good relationships built from those platforms, and I so look forward to building on those relationships with you guys. Today, I want to talk about self-talk. And I know a couple of weeks ago, I talked about standing up for yourself. And part of standing up for yourself was standing up for yourself to yourself, right? So we have a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of us. God bless you if you are someone who has made it so far past that point that you don't even remember the last time you talked down to yourself or said something negative to yourself. You're the bomb. I'm trying to get there. But for the rest of us who have not fully attained that status, I'm going to harp on it a little bit because I feel like I had a little bit of a revelation, and it might be something extremely simple to you. You might have learned it already. You might have experienced this already. Maybe this is a reminder for you, or maybe this is just something for you to nod and agree and said, yes, I did realize that. And so that's about the self-talk. I've had a couple of posts come across my timeline about, coming face to face with negative talk, or coming face to face with anxiety or depression, or feeling inadequate, not good enough, afraid to take the next step in careers, afraid to try something new simply because you think that you won't succeed, that you won't make it, or you have so many bad habits that it just is not going to materialize into anything positive. And so you don't even know why try. And I hope at this point, a lot of us have been able to push past that and do it anyway, right? And whatever the outcome is just whatever the outcome. And yeah, that relates back to the self-talk. And so I responded to one of those posts that I use self-affirmations, not just in my time of need, but when it seems as though I don't need it. So just like random positive words I say out loud to myself, just random, give myself compliments, tell myself I can do things. It doesn't even matter if they're relevant to what's going on in the second, just say them. What it does is sort of train my brain to speak to me in the way that I want it to. So my brain needs a lot of training because I've spent a lot of time doing the opposite. I've spent a lot of years with the negative thoughts and the negative words out loud, as well as other people pouring negative things into me. So I need a lot of training to reverse all of that conditioning. So I just need to just randomly throw stuff out there just because that's how it came to me. The negativity, sometimes you ever be in a situation sometimes and you just be like, whoa, where that came from? Why's your tongue got so much venom on it? Why is your speech so sharp? Where is that coming from? Like, sometimes people will say some negative stuff to you and it has nothing to do with the situation at hand. You be like, that was so left field. I don't know how I caught that. I don't know how I caught it, but I want to throw it back. And so, like, I feel like the positivity needs to come that way too. It needs to come random. Where did that come from? I don't know, but thank you. Thank you. And that too we can throw back. That too we can give back. And it feels better to give that back. But my revelation was less about that and more so the self-talk is not just for you. And when I say that, I mean that what you train your brain to say about yourself, you can also train your brain to speak positively about your spouse, about your children, about your circumstance. I think we're better at it for self and self-circumstance and where we're working and trying to help ourselves make it through a job we don't like or temporary financial difficulties or grief, sadness, anything like that. But I think we're not that good at it. So like if we're bad at it for ourselves, sometimes we're worse when it comes to other people. And so I'm about to be real transparent. Sometimes I love my husband, but sometimes he gets on my nerves. He does. Sometimes he leaves stuff around the house on the floor random. I'll be like, why is that on the floor? Like it has no business on the floor. I don't know why it's there. And I am a rebellious spirit, very much so. And this is why I can recognize the rebelliousness in his spirit and my child's spirit. But I know I have a rebellious spirit. So like it'll stay on the floor for quite some time because I kind of like refuse to pick it up. Because not only do I want him to pick it up, but I need him to explain to me how it got there, why it got there, why he thought it was a good idea for it to be there. Like, yeah, I know, I'm just too much. I don't know how he deal with it sometimes. But like, that stuff drives me crazy because I am not the most organized person. I appear to be when I'm at work because I know I'm not. So I overcompensate and I make lists and I do all kinds of things to keep myself organized because I am not naturally organized. Like that too, I need to work on. But I overcompensate. So because I'm not the most organized person, I'm not a clean freak at all. It takes extra effort for me to clean up. So I'm really pissed that you provide extra mess because that's effort upon effort upon effort for me. And I'm like, come on, help me out. Like I'm trying. I try to overcompensate. I try to do a little extra, a little more than I would have done yesterday. And then so when he does stuff like leave an ace bandage on the floor by the bathroom because he unwrapped his foot in the bathroom and just never picked it up, that stuff drives me crazy because I'm like, that's extra for me. That's extra. And he's had a number of jobs in the past where he's cleaned for a living. So it really pisses me off because he used to work for housing. So I'm like, dog, like it's not in your spirit. You don't want to clean that up. You don't want to pick that up. So it's just wow. But what I thought about today is like, I was getting ready to say, oh my God, he pissed me off. He's so lazy, da-da-da. And I stopped. And I was like, if I keep saying that in my head, because he wasn't home and I wasn't saying it out loud, I was saying it in my head. But I was like, God, if I keep saying that in my head, what do I do to the rest of our energy for today? Like, because I'm repeating it. I ain't saying one time and just move on. I'm repeating it and I'm ranting and I'm going on and on and on. So like, what does that do to who I am when he walks in the door? Like, how do I feel when he and I start talking? Because he's bound to make another mistake or bound to do something that's outside of what I'm looking to have done or whatever. He's human. He's bound to, and we're married and we're comfortable with each other. So he's bound to do something that's like not with the flow, just like I am. And I'm just like, so I'm already on guard, pissed off. He has no idea that I'm already in a different realm in terms of how I feel about him for the day. And so whatever he says, whatever he does, it doesn't vibe with me. First of all, how can he vibe with me? Because I'm not myself. I'm not calm. I'm not in my neutral space. I've already shifted to the negative side. So I've already made it more difficult for him when he comes in the door because he can't vibe with me. And I know there's someone who's like, no, he made it more difficult for himself by leaving the ace bandage on the floor. I mean, when we look at the bigger thing, like, really, just pick it up. The same way he could pick it up, I could pick it up, and we could move on. That's not something I want to have a whole day of fussing over the ace bandage. Like, the whole day I'm gonna be mad about that, because that's what I think happens. Like, we get mad at so many little things is because it's all tumbling over and it's all, rolling into each other and becoming this bigger thing. And it's just like, from this one thing that you probably could have decided wasn't worth spending 12 hours pissed off about, and adding to the offenses. So I had to stop myself and was like, let me stop talking that way. Did it upset me that it was there? Did it need to be there? No. I could probably be like, hey, you left that on the floor. If I say you left that on the floor, he typically will just pick it up when I think about it, right? If I said it like that, he would probably just pick it up. But, two rebels, you had to take it that far. Well, I'm going to piss you off even more. But either way, it's just like, do we need to be upset for the rest of the day? Maybe tomorrow? Does it need to happen like that? It really doesn't. And do I need to keep telling myself that he's lazy? Do I need to? He's not lazy. He get up and go to work every day. He cooks for us very often. He helps with my child in terms of showering her and changing her and playing with her and just being a good dad. And in terms of good energy towards her and making sure that she knows he loves her and showing her how to do, letting her watch while he cooks. She loves that. She loves that. And that actually goes against his anxiety. He has a lot of anxiety and he's always nervous and always worried about how she may get hurt. And because he loves her and he knows how much she loves to see him cook, he'll let her stand at a certain distance on her chair and kind of look over, but he won't deny her altogether simply because he knows the joy that she gets out of that. And he likes that she wants to take that in. She wants to learn. I love that because I didn't learn to cook as a child. And to some degree, for a lot of years, I felt handicapped because of it. So I'm like, great, she won't have that burden. So anyway, I say all that to say that if I keep giving myself the negative message, he's lazy, eventually, as it happens, I start to lose sight of all the other positive attributes he has, all the positive things that are going on between us, all the positive interactions within our household, and I start believing that negative thing. And then I lead with that. I was pissed about that yesterday, and even though it seems like I got over it, the idea is still in my head. And so for days upon days upon days, because I have that idea in my head, it's almost as though you look for stuff to validate that idea. So what if I put the positive idea in my head and just repeated that over and over and over and over again? Then wouldn't I look for ways to validate the positivity? Wouldn't that make our relationship better? And if we both did that, what would happen to our relationship? Would that enhance it? I believe so. And so when I think about self-talk, it's not just about in your head talking about yourself to yourself. It's also in your head talking about the people that you care about to yourself. So training your brain on what things to focus on. I'm not saying be completely blind to someone's faults. I'm not saying completely ignore or do not address something that you think is an issue between you and someone else or someone living in your household. I do not believe that is the way to go. So I'm not totally extreme, just ignore everything and just act like everything's okay. No, I'm not that. However, I'm saying when talking about the people you care about to yourself, let's not make definitive statements. So let me be specific. That damn ace bandage on the floor. Yeah, that pissed me off. And that was an act of laziness. Just pissed me off. But I don't want to tell myself he is lazy. You see the difference? So it's okay. I can be annoyed at an act. But to make a definitive statement about who he is and then repeat, because I'm not repeating the act in my head. I'm repeating the statement, the definitive statement. That's the thing that I'm repeating. And that's the thing that's going to lead a lot of my interactions with him. But So when I long forget the ace bandage on the floor, I will remember the feeling and the thought and the generality of he is lazy. And that will shift my perception of him. And it's not even a true it's not even true. It's a general statement that I made about an act. I forgot about the act, and now I still have this general statement. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to our marriage. And I don't like it when it's done to me. I don't. So I try to be consistent with the idea of if someone is doing something that you don't like or that you don't approve of, it's foolish to duplicate that thing because now it's you doing what you don't like. Now it's you doing what you don't approve of. And who wants to not approve of themselves? I certainly don't. I spend enough time not approving of myself. I don't want to keep that up. So I try not to duplicate what it is that I think is bad. Like, I don't like that. Okay, let me not do that because I don't want to be treated that way. Let me not treat you that way. And I hate when people make definitive statements about me. I hate when people make false statements about me, but they're false to me, but that's their perception. But sometimes that perception is only because of something in a moment. And it annoys me. It's like, really? You forget about all the other things I've done or all the other things I've said or all the other positive impacts, and you just change everything based on this one statement? It's really heartbreaking and it's irritating and it puts me on a defensive. And so I'm dealing with you different. So now we're just combative. So I don't want to do that to him. I don't want to put him in a combat state for our marriage. The same way I don't want him to put me don't misunderstand me that I'm putting everything on me. I don't want him to do that to me. But I have to understand it and understand what it is that I don't want to be done to me because I need to know not to duplicate it, not to do it, and not to be the first one to do it. Sometimes I lead with it. So, and this is not a whole how to keep your man kind of thing. It's just healthy relationships. And we spend so much time on telling other people what they should do in our relationship for it to be healthy that sometimes we need to spend some time telling ourselves what to do in our relationship for it to be healthy. And this is something that I was finding in myself, why are you making these definitive statements about who this person is? You're going to end up holding on to this idea and let's look at the big picture. Is this who he is? No. Is this truly what you think of him when you look at all the facts? No. So stop repeating this definitive statement because eventually the answer is going to be yes. And yeah, you're going to have lots of examples to back it up because you've decided this and now you're just collecting proof as time goes along. So let's do it for positive stuff. And I feel like if you're having trouble on your job, if you don't like your job or you're in a situation, I feel like this is helpful for that too. In terms of making this definitive statement, I don't like my job because you were pissed one day. Sometimes we got to go back because sometimes we have one negative interaction or one negative person on the job. And we have just made this definitive overall statement about how we feel at the job or, I got to get out of here. And then we lock on to that. I just got to get out of here. And then that's your idea. You keep, every time you interact with this person, you say, I just got to get out of here. I just got to get out of here. And then so the person has moved on. They've gotten another job or they've gotten another position. They've left the company, whatever. And you no longer have to interact with them on a continuous basis. But the idea is still locked in and you're still I got to get out of here. And so you find a reason to fuss every single day. Every single day you find a reason to roll your eyes. Every single day you find a reason to assert that your boss just wants too damn much. Every single day you find a reason to say why you're not paid well enough or why your company just doesn't have it together, when it was just the interaction with one person or a group of people that was repetitive, that you done forgot what you argued about. You done forgot the initial offense that got you started thinking that way. They're long gone. The atmosphere has changed. The work has changed. Your pay has changed. Still, you've got this idea locked on I got to get out of here. And it would not be your total perception of the situation had you just looked at it in the bigger picture. So that was the revelation for me, that my self-talk is not just for me, but it's also for the stuff around me, the people around me, that I need to be more cognizant of what kind of self-talk I have about these people. Am I making general statements that aren't true based upon incidents? Am I building up a negative resume for this person, these people, this job, this church, this neighborhood based on one-offs or based on one detail as opposed to the whole picture? Because if that's what I'm doing, it's not healthy for me or them. So I either got to change the way that I talk to myself about the situation and relationships that I'm in, or I have to change them, like get out of them. Because at one point when you're in a relationship that's not healthy for you, eventually it's not healthy for the other person either. So like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? Listen, I'm not one of those people who be like, because you hurt me so bad, I gotta hurt you. I am not one of those people. That just takes up too much time, too much energy, and too much of my heart. And it takes up too much space. It doesn't fill me. It leaves me void. It leaves me crying. It leaves me destitute. It leaves me feeling like I'm missing something over and over and over again. I do not like to feel that. If you like to feel that, I encourage you to seek therapy or write it down. Maybe it's useful for a good movie or something, but like make some use out of it, because other than that, I don't see what the use is. It deteriorates you. It ages you. It makes people not want to interact with you. So it isolates you. I feel like we're made to work together. We're made to need each other. If we do things right and we lift each other up, the universe answers us. The universe will feed us what we're feeding into the universe. So I'm trying to be cognizant of what I'm feeding into the universe, either out loud or through telepathy. But either way, I need to be more aware of what kind of speech I not only have about myself, but about the people I care about in my life. And the definitive statements that are not true need to stop, whether it's about me or the people I care about. I need to stop making these definitive statements and stop repeating them to myself, training myself to believe these statements that are not true. So I don't know if you've already experienced that, if you've already grown past it. If you haven't gotten there, God bless you. Maybe you don't need it. Maybe you are not as troubled as me and don't have all the kind of issues that I have. But this is what I'm dealing with. And I'm curious is like, who else is dealing with this, and what else do you do? Or do you know another way? Is there something else that you do? Do you do yoga? Do you meditate? Like, how do you practice cleaning out these negative thoughts from your life? I would love to hear from you, because I'm open to all kinds of suggestions. I'm open to us all healing from whatever it is that's dragging behind us and stopping us from shooting to the top. So please get at me on Twitter. I'm at P Writes. On Instagram, I'm also at P Writes. If you want to pick up my book, Long Neck Bottles, it's a great motivational read. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. The audiobook is still on the way. My first novel, In Her Makeup, is also available on Amazon and Kindle. That's also a great read about family, relationships, and rebelliousness, sex, being a woman, sometimes a young woman who just have to learn life the hard way, and just finding your way and finding your way back to family, finding your way back to the truth. It's a great read. Pick it up. It's called In Her Makeup. It's on Amazon as well as Kindle. I have a new book on the way, Soiled Sheets. Hopefully it'll be out before end of month. I'm still waiting for the final okay. But yeah, if you want to find out about it, send me your email. I'm at P Writes on Twitter, at P Writes on Instagram. You don't even have to DM me no long message. Just send me your email and I'll add you to the mailing list and you'll always be aware. Maybe you don't want that. I don't know. Check out my blog, lifeispknowsit.wordpress. Sometimes I cover different issues there. So if you ever want to get deeper, you can read it there. Anyway, I thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time. Until next time when we can do lunch. Peace.